Long before the first glimmers of bioluminescent innovation illuminated Theia's skies, its people stood at the crossroads of possibility, a fledgling civilization, yearning to transcend the confines of survival and embrace the profound. Theians, united by their ingenuity and curiosity, began to unravel the secrets of their planet's natural harmony. It was an era of firsts, where the whispers of quantum consciousness mingled with the hum of ecological stewardship. In the shadows of towering mountains and sprawling crystalline plains, their journey toward brilliance began. A story of discovery, sacrifice, and the eternal search for balance between progress and purpose. These earliest steps into innovation would lay the foundation for a civilization's ascent, shaping not just their planet but the legacy they would leave behind. The first glimmers, a shroud of twilight blanketed Theia, as it had for millennia. The infrared sun hung low in the sky, emitting faint waves of warmth rather than light. Theian flora swayed in the breeze like a sea of living lanterns, each plant glowing softly in hues of green, blue, and gold. The air was still, heavy with unfamiliar anticipation. Elia stood at the edge of a glowing forest, her golden light flickering erratically with the rhythm of her breath. Her caste was rare among Helions, known for their experimentation and ingenuity, but her glow was unsteady, a sign of her youth and a reminder of the reputation she had yet to earn. She clutched a rudimentary spectrometer in her hands, its crystalline components cobbled together from materials she'd scavenged near geothermal vents. The crude device was her greatest achievement, a tool designed to measure the frequencies emitted by the moss-like flora carpeting the ground around her. Ahead of her, the moss shifted in gentle ripples of color, responding to unseen stimuli. Elia crouched down, her pale hands brushing the bioluminescent surface as her device hummed faintly. The moss pulsed again, its rhythmic glow speeding up, then slowing down, as though trying to communicate. She adjusted the spectrometer's range and recorded the patterns, waves that carried an undeniable structure, a complexity far beyond mere randomness. This is a language, she thought. Not words, but signals, information carried on pulses of light. If she could understand it, if she could harness it, she might find a way to transform this natural phenomenon. Above her, the sky seemed to darken further, a shadow crossing the infrared glow of the sun. Predators were active in this part of Theia, creatures drawn to heat signatures and movement. Elia's own pulse quickened, her glow dimming instinctively in self-preservation. But instead of retreating, she leaned closer to the moss, tracing its light patterns with trembling fingers. "Speak to me," she whispered, her voice barely audible in the vast silence. "Show me how you survive." The moss rippled again, its glow intensifying. For a moment, Elia thought she felt its rhythm echoing in her own pulse, a strange sense of connection blooming in her chest. The spectrometer surged with data, glyph-like patterns forming on its crystalline display. Elia stared in awe, realizing she had found the key. Her glow stabilized for the first time in weeks, shining brighter than she'd ever seen. It wasn't just survival she had found. It was harmony. The faint hum of geothermal vents resonated through Lumina Prime, the first settlement forged by Helion ingenuity. Its crystalline walls glowed faintly in the infrared light, pulsating in rhythm with the geothermal currents below. Among the settlement's labs, Elia worked tirelessly. Her spectrometer stood on the lab table beside her, a crude but miraculous device that had opened a door to understanding Theia's bioluminescent signals. Elia's glow flickered dimly in frustration as she analyzed the patterns she'd recorded. They were complex, shifting, glyph-like arrangements that seemed to evolve when exposed to different frequencies. She adjusted the spectrometer's settings, her steady hands betraying the excitement she felt deep within. If she could isolate the rhythm, perhaps she could replicate it. Moments later, the spectrometer emitted a low pulse. The moss sample on her table rippled faintly, glowing brighter as though responding to her touch. Her golden shimmer began to brighten in turn, mirroring the moss's pulse. It wasn't just light, it was a connection. Before she could celebrate her breakthrough, Orin, a young ethereal with a soft white glow, entered the lab. His presence carried the weight of his caste's reputation for wisdom and philosophy. "You've been pushing yourself too hard," he remarked, his glow steady and deliberate. "Your rhythm is erratic. Even light needs rest." Elia exhaled sharply, brushing her golden hair away from her face. "I don't have time for rest. The moss isn't just surviving, it's communicating. If we can understand its language, we can adapt it to ourselves." Oren studied the glowing patterns on the spectrometer and frowned. "Theia's language is natural. If we tamper with it, we risk losing the harmony we've worked so hard to preserve." Elia hesitated, her glow flickering unevenly, but her resolve burned bright. What if this isn't tampering? What if this is evolution? Determined to prove her theory, Elia convinced Oren to help her conduct an experiment. Together, they ventured into the luminescent caverns outside Lumina Prime, the same site where Elia had first uncovered the moss's secrets. The cavern walls pulsated gently, casting eerie shadows as the duo set up their equipment. Oren arranged glowing crystals around them in a circle, forming an impromptu light field, while Elia calibrated the spectrometer. The experiment began with a steady rhythm emitted by the spectrometer that resonated through the moss and crystals alike. The walls seemed to come alive, their bioluminescent surfaces rippling in response. Elia's golden glow and Oren's white light stabilized, merging in synchronized harmony. Suddenly, the moss's light shifted. Its patterns became more structured, forming glyph-like shapes across the cavern floor. Oren stared in awe. "This isn't just for survival," he murmured. "This is meaning." Elia's heart raced as she traced the glyphs with her hands, their faint warmth resonating against her skin. She didn't need words to understand what the moss was telling them. It was a language in light, a message that connected all living beings on Theia. The experiment proved Elia's theory, but it raised more questions than answers. If bioluminescence could convey meaning, what did it mean for Theian society? Could this discovery unite them, or divide them even further? Their return to Lumina Prime was met with both excitement and skepticism. The Helions embraced Elia's findings, viewing them as a triumph of scientific progress, while the Gaians reacted with alarm. Elarath, the elder who had long advocated for ecological harmony, challenged Elia during a tense council meeting. "Theia's glow belongs to it, not to us," he declared, his dull blue radiance dimming in disapproval. "If we harness it recklessly, we risk destroying what little balance we have left." Elia stepped forward, her golden glow flickering unevenly in the face of his judgment. "This isn't about dominance. The moss thrives because it adapts, and we must adapt too." The council debated late into the night, their bioluminescent pulses flickering like embers in the darkness. Oren, steady and resolute, proposed a compromise. The light field technology would be tested only within controlled environments, ensuring it wouldn't disrupt Theia's ecosystems. His wisdom carried weight, and the council ultimately agreed. Elia's glow burned brighter than ever as she stood outside the council chamber, gazing at the horizon. She had proven that bioluminescence was more than survival, it was a connection, a way to unite her people through the language of light. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling that the divisions she had witnessed were only the beginning. Dawn of the caste system. Theia's twilight skies shimmered faintly as Lumina Prime stood at the brink of collapse. Its crystalline cities, once symbols of ingenuity and unity, now dimmed under the weight of resource scarcity. The geothermal vents that powered their energy relays were failing, their output reduced to a flicker, leaving the settlement vulnerable to the predators and harsh conditions of the planet's infrared environment. The Aeon society faced an unprecedented challenge. Without a clear plan to allocate dwindling resources, survival was at risk. The Council of Light convened, their bioluminescent forms pulsing erratically with tension. The council chamber, usually aglow with synchronized unity, reflected the divisions tearing the society apart. The air was charged with unease. The soft hum of failing energy relays echoed faintly through the chamber, a reminder of the urgency of the council's deliberations. Outside, the skies were dimmer than usual, as Theia's once vibrant geothermal network faltered under the strain of overuse. Helios, an ethereal philosopher whose pale white glow radiated wisdom, stood at the center. He addressed the gathered representatives from all castes, Helion engineers, Selenian architects, Eosphoroi explorers, and Gaians. We stand on the precipice of our extinction. Helios began, his light dimming momentarily. But if we unite, if we act with purpose, we can survive. We must define our roles, not as individuals, but as one society. Elia rose to address the council, her golden light shimmering with fiery precision. The Helion scientist was known for her bold innovations, and her glow pulsed rhythmically as she spoke. Our energy networks are failing because they rely on fusion bursts designed for stability, not adaptability, she began, projecting holographic schematics into the shared light field. The diagrams depicted spiral conduits designed to harness fluctuating geothermal energy and redistribute it with efficiency. My team has developed prototypes for adaptive energy conduits that will synchronize with Theia's geothermal patterns. With the resources to implement this system, we can stabilize and ensure sustainable power for generations. Her words carried weight, and the council murmured in agreement. Elian's proposal was ambitious, but the Helions had earned their reputation as pioneers of progress. Yet Elarath's blue glow dimmed further, a shadow of resistance flickering across his face. Kale, a Selenian architect with a silver shimmer that pulsed evenly, stepped forward to offer his perspective. His radiance seemed to complement Elian's fiery glow, a visual representation of his measured approach. Energy alone will not save us, Kale said, his voice calm but resolute. He projected schematics of crystalline structures into the light field, designs for reinforcing Lumina Prime's foundations with bioluminescent materials inspired by the natural glow of Theia's flora. We must shield our cities from degradation. These materials will integrate with Theia's environment, blending protection with harmony. Stability will come not from isolation but from adaptation. The council studied the holograms intently, the beauty of Kale's designs undeniable. Even Elarath's glow brightened slightly, his skepticism momentarily eased by the Seleneans' ecological consideration. But before the council could deliberate further, a fiery pulse cut through the chamber. Thaler, a bold explorer whose red-orange glow flared with restless energy, stood to counter Kale's approach. His presence was commanding, and his pulse seemed to resonate with the very walls of the chamber. Theia's stability cannot be ensured by remaining stagnant, Thaler declared, projecting maps of asteroid clusters into the light field. The diagrams showed untapped mineral veins ripe for extraction. We must venture beyond our world to secure the resources Lumina Prime cannot provide. My team has mapped these clusters and identified safe pathways. If we do not act now, we will lose our chance to claim what the stars have offered us. Thaler's words sparked murmurs of both excitement and unease. His call for expansion was daring, but it risked alienating the Gaians, whose blue radiance now faded into near darkness. Elarath stood last, his muted glow barely reaching the chamber walls. The Gaian elder's sorrow was palpable, his voice heavy with wisdom earned through millennia of stewardship. Harmony does not come from dominance, he said softly, his pulses slow and deliberate. If we mine Theia's mantle or disrupt the asteroid belt, we risk ecological collapse. Our glow was gifted by Theia not as a weapon but as a bond. What good is survival if it comes at the cost of our identity? Elarath's words carried a quiet power, resonating deeply with those who shared his fear of losing Theia's essence. Even Thaler's fiery pulse dimmed slightly, his confidence tempered by the elder's warning. Yet the council remained divided, their glows flickering in uncertainty. As the chamber fell into uneasy silence, Helios stepped forward, his white glow intensifying. He raised his arms, projecting a shared pulse into the light field, a rhythm designed to unify the council's scattered patterns. Our survival is threatened not by scarcity, but by division. Helios began, his voice steady and commanding. Elian, Kale, Thaler, Elarath, you have each offered us your strengths, your visions, but strength alone cannot save us. We must unite our castes, define our roles, and act as one. The chamber brightened as Helios' pulse resonated through the council. Slowly, the other castes synchronized their glows with his, forming a harmonious pattern that filled the chamber with light. The Council's divisions had not been resolved, but Helios had provided them with a path forward, one that would require cooperation, sacrifice, and trust. To solidify their unity, Helios introduced the quantum consensus, an innovation that would become the foundation of Theian governance. Using shared light fields developed by Elians Helions, the castes could debate and synchronize their bioluminescent pulses, creating a telepathic hive mind that allowed for collective decision-making without diminishing individuality. The first test of the quantum consensus was conducted within the council chamber. Representatives from all castes entered the light field, their glows merging in rhythmic harmony. Each pulse carried meaning, every flicker a voice in the shared debate. Disagreements were resolved not through dominance, but through understanding. Those who withdrew from unity dimmed their light, symbolizing compromise. As the synchronization reached its peak, the light field illuminated the entire chamber in dazzling brilliance. For the first time in generations, Theian society felt whole. Lumina Prime regained its stability as each caste embraced its formalized role. The Helions repaired the energy relays, the Seleneans reinforced the cities, the Eosphoroi expanded Theia's reach, and the Gaian ensured ecological balance. Helios stood, gazing at the restored glow of Lumina Prime and the distant asteroid belt where Eosphoroi ships would venture into the unknown. The spark of innovation. The soft hum of bioluminescent crystals echoed through the cavernous depths of the new crystalline city, Alcyon, a testament to the Aeon ingenuity. 1,000 lights flickered, illuminating the delicate symbiosis of Helion engineering and Selenian ecological design. Towers spiraled into the air like radiant coral, absorbing the planet's sunlight and storing it within their quantum cores, powered by Dyson swarm energy relays. In the distance, whispers of innovation filled the air. Helion researchers were ablaze with excitement, their experiments with neutrino communication nearing completion. At the center of the city stood Calais, a pioneer of quantum light field technology, clutching their translucent datapad, its bioluminescent interface pulsing in sync with their thoughts. Beside them, Leora observed the spectacle. The pragmatic Selenian leader's gaze lingered on the glittering walls, instinctively weighing the cost of such grandeur against the ecological toll. "We're standing on the cusp of a new age," Calais said, breaking the silence. "The light field has brought our minds together in ways we've only dreamed of. Using the natural crystals of Theia, we can send messages via neutrinos and always have direct communication, no matter what obstacles might be in our path. We can have planetary consensus instantaneously." Leora's eyes narrowed, her fingers brushing a luminescent surface. "And at what cost? These crystals are alive, connected to this planet in ways we don't yet understand. If the Gaians are right, we're tampering with forces we don't fully grasp." The days leading to Alcyon's demise were marked by fevered anticipation. Calais stood at the apex of progress, ready to unveil the quantum light field communication network to the world. Their team had pushed boundaries in ways never imagined, using bioluminescent crystals to stabilize the delicate interplay between quantum energy streams and neutrino pathways. The night of the test promised a revolution. Seleneans, led by Leora, worked tirelessly to ensure Alcyon's natural ecosystems would hold steady under the strain of such advancements. The Gaians pulsed with faint luminescence, seemingly agitated by the quantum activity humming through the air. Leora had tried to convey her unease to Calais, but their words fell on ears deafened by ambition. As the test commenced, the night sky ignited in breathtaking displays of fractal auroras, patterns reflecting the deep symbiosis between quantum energy streams and bioluminescence. Across the crystalline city, Theians looked to the heavens with awe. Calais felt a surge of triumph. "We've done it," they whispered, basking in the unifying wonder of creation. But beneath the surface, the neutrino surge silently destabilized the Dyson swarm relays. Energy grids faltered, their hum intensifying into an unsettling roar. The bioluminescent crystals that had birthed the city's brilliance began to fracture, their once harmonious glow turning jagged and erratic. Leora's voice rang through the chaos. "Cut the surge. The system is overloading." Their plea was met with frenzied resistance from Helion scientists, convinced that reducing power would undo their progress. In moments, the crystal cores collapsed in catastrophic resonance. Towers crumbled, their luminous threads snapping under pressure, and the symbiotic ecosystem designed by Seleneans struggled to contain the devastation. The Gaians pulsed fiercely, emitting warnings that no Theian could fully interpret. Amidst the ruins, Calais stumbled through the wreckage, their mind oscillating between guilt and disbelief. Leora coordinated rescue efforts, using surviving ecological systems to stabilize energy fluctuations and prevent further collapse. The city of Alcyon lay in ruins, a profound testament to ambition unchecked by caution. In the aftermath, Theians gathered in sorrow, their divided voices rising in debate. Was the collapse an inevitable cost of progress, or a failure to honor their role as stewards of their planet? As the dust settled over Alcyon's broken towers, the ruins still emitted faint pulses of light, a mournful echo of the bioluminescent energy that once sustained the city's vitality. Leora knelt amidst the debris, her hands pressed against the glowing surface of a fractured crystal. Though cracked and dimmed, the crystal still held a fragment of life, faintly resonating with the Gaians' rhythmic hum. Around her, Selenian design structures bore the weight of resilience. Walls clothed in bioluminescent flora had absorbed much of the shockwave, shielding the surrounding ecosystem from the worst of the catastrophe. These living systems, carefully crafted to mimic natural coral reefs, demonstrated the strength of harmony over unchecked ambition. "It's the Selenean architecture," murmured Calais as they approached. Their voice trembled with both awe and guilt. "Your structures, the ecosystem, they saved lives." Leora turned to them, her expression calm but unwavering. "This isn't harmony. This is survival. Patchwork solution to chaos. True harmony is understanding, respecting, and working within the natural order, not bending it until it breaks." As Leora coordinated rescue efforts and Calais wrestled with guilt, the skies above Alcyon dimmed, echoing the fractured state of Theian unity. Amid the chaos, Helios arrived, their commanding presence radiating both gravitas and an unyielding resolve. A seasoned diplomat and mediator, Helios had weathered countless ideological divides between the Helions and Seleneans. Yet, even they hesitated when faced with the scale of this tragedy. "Calais," Helios said, their voice steady but firm. "You've always believed in pushing the limits, but now those limits have pushed back." Calais turned, their normally sharp expression dulled by exhaustion. "I didn't see this coming, Helios. The equations were sound, the simulations. Simulations are not reality." Helios interrupted, gesturing to the ruins. "You've built wonders, Calais, but progress at this cost is a hollow victory." Beside them, Leora stepped forward, her voice tinged with both frustration and determination. "Helios, it isn't just about Calais. We let this happen because we were too divided to act together. Helions, Seleneans, even the Gaians, we all failed to listen." Helios nodded slowly. "Then we must ensure that failure does not define us. The lessons we fail to learn now will echo far beyond Alcyon." The council chamber in Lumina Prime was dimly lit, the bioluminescent crystals lining its walls flickering faintly, as if reflecting the collective exhaustion of its occupants. Representatives from every corner of Theian society, Helion scientists, Selenian architects, and Gaian interpreters, gathered in uneasy silence, the weight of Alcyon's collapse still fresh in their minds. Helios stood at the center of the circular room, their steady gaze moving from one face to the next. They raised a hand calling for attention. The destruction of Alcyon was not caused by neutrino technology or ecological systems alone. It was caused by us, all of us. Their voice carried a resonance that silenced the murmurs of debate. "You're wrong," a young Helion shouted, stepping forward. Their voice trembled with a mix of anger and grief. "We brought progress, the future, while the Seleneans held us back with their caution. If we hadn't been forced to compromise, we might have avoided this disaster." Leora rose from her seat, her calm demeanor masking the fire in her eyes. "Compromise didn't cause the collapse. Recklessness did. We warned that the planet itself is interconnected, that unchecked ambition risks unraveling systems we barely understand. Yet those warnings were dismissed. The tension in the chamber thickened, a divide between innovation and stewardship threatening to pull the room apart. Helios took a deliberate step forward, their voice unwavering but gentler now. Progress and caution are not opposites, they are complements. What we need isn't more division, but unity. Helios gestured to the fractured crystal on the central podium, its faint glow serving as a somber reminder of what had been lost. This is not just the remains of a city, it's the remains of trust. If we are to rebuild, we must rebuild not only our structures but our principles. Calais, standing near the edge of the room, finally spoke. We've lost too much. Alcyon represented what we could achieve when we dared to dream. But perhaps Leora is right, dreams that disregard the world we live in are nothing but illusions. We need a new approach. Helios nodded, turning back to the assembly. Let us not focus on what was lost, but on what we can learn. Together, we can draft an accord, a covenant that reflects our shared responsibility as stewards, innovators, and protectors of this planet. Through hours of dialogue and collaboration, the factions began to piece together a framework that would ensure unity, cooperation, and harmony would guide all Theians going forward. The first article that was drafted by the Council was based on maintaining the harmony of the planet. It ensured that despite all technological advancements, planetary harmony would be maintained by seeking Gaian feedback, that the Theians' advanced technologies should complement natural systems, not exploit them. They agreed that respect for the environment was not a limitation, but an enduring foundation for progress. In an effort to put balance over domination, it was required that progress must coexist with preservation, blending ambition with ecological stewardship. The next article the Council debated was based on collaboration. It would require the brightest minds of Theia to embrace uncertainty and limits, and humility. Humility was demanded of true progress. Together they needed to acknowledge the unknown and the risks of overreach. The Theians needed to recognize that there was unity in diversity, and that through collaboration between differing perspectives would yield solutions greater than the sum of their parts. This collaborative stewardship would bring strength to their society. The last article was about unity through quantum communications. Calais neutrino technology would be repurposed to enhance shared knowledge to ensure transparency and collective decision-making. This technology would merge neutrino networks and quantum communication to create a decentralized and transparent system for collective governance and resource distribution guided by harmonic and quantum fairness algorithms. It would ensure synchronization of planetary harmonic frequencies, autonomous systems that could evaluate multiple decision pathways to resolve ethical conflicts, and the creation of decentralized communication channels that could bypass all physical barriers. This would be called quantum unity stewardship. As the draft neared completion, the bioluminescent crystals in the chamber brightened slightly, their light reflecting a glimmer of hope. Helios stepped back, allowing the document to rest in the center of the room. This is the first unifying accord, a promise to our world and to each other. Leora placed a hand on Calais' shoulder, their previous tension giving way to mutual understanding. This isn't the end of progress, Calais. It's just the beginning. A progress rooted in wisdom. Calais nodded, their gaze fixed on the crystal's glow. And this time, we'll dream with open eyes. Helios turned to the room, their voice carrying one final message. Let Alcyon's collapse remind us of what it truly means to be Theians, not divided by ambition and caution, but united by purpose. The first steps beyond. The silence of the cosmos enveloped the Eosphoroi vessel as it glided through the asteroid cluster. Its hull shimmered with bioluminescent energy, a testament to Theian ingenuity. The crew on board remained focused, their minds brimming with the anticipation of discovery. This mission, named Aurora's Reach, marked the first attempt to venture beyond Theia's atmosphere in search of resources and knowledge that could advance their civilization's evolving understanding of the universe. The Dyson Swarm project has stabilized our energy grids. Leora's voice crackled over the comms from Theia's command center. Her tone is sharp and precise as the crystalline system she engineered. But it's not enough. Our projections show exponential demands within the next decade. We need materials that can sustain quantum crystallography on a planetary scale. Helions, on the vessel's observation deck, gazed out at the glowing debris fields ahead. So, the answer lies out here, among these ancient fragments of creation? Their voice carried an air of wonder, a philosopher's awe untamed by Leora's practical rigor. Possibly, Leora replied, her tone softening slightly. These asteroids are rich in untested minerals. If we're right, they could stabilize quantum matrices in ways the resources never could. And those matrices might hold the key to interstellar energy exchange. Helions tilted their head, a faint smile forming. And yet, we risk introducing new imbalances, complications we don't yet understand. Focus on retrieving the samples, Helions. I didn't send you out there to wax philosophical, Leora countered, though her voice held a hint of amusement. The ship's sensors flared to life, detecting an asteroid with unusual resonance patterns. The crew scrambled to adjust their trajectory. Calais, a Helion scientist and Calais' protege from past missions, leaned over the console, their voice taut with controlled excitement. We've found something, signatures unlike anything on Theia. It's concentrated, almost crystalline. The vessel anchored near the asteroid, its luminescent hull casting an ethereal glow over the rocky terrain. Helions joined the team at the airlock, donning protective gear as the crew prepared to extract samples. Each step outside the vessel felt like treading on sacred ground. This isn't just a mission for resources, Helions said quietly. Their words meant more for themselves than the others. It's a pilgrimage, our first steps into a wider cosmos. The extraction began with precision, the team carefully dislodging shards of shimmering minerals. Yet something else caught Helions' attention, a faint pulsating glow emanating from beneath a layer of debris. Over here, they called out, their voice steady but laced with intrigue. The crew gathered as they unearthed an object unlike anything they'd encountered. The artifact's surface was etched with fractal patterns, its glow pulsating in sync with an untraceable rhythm. Calais examined it, their voice breaking the awed silence. This isn't natural. It's intentional, intelligent. Back on Theia, Leora's voice broke through the comms, now carrying a note of urgency. Bring it back. Whatever it is, it could redefine everything we know. Helions stared at the artifact, their thoughts swirling. This was more than a discovery of minerals or resources. It was a question, an invitation, perhaps even a warning. The cosmos had spoken, and the Theians now had to decide how they would answer. The Eosphoroi vessel landed in the crystalline capital of Lumina Prime, its bioluminescent hull dimmed after weeks in space. A crowd of Theians gathered, their anticipation palpable as the explorers disembarked, carrying samples of rare minerals and the artifact cloaked in protective energy fields. Helions stepped forward, holding the artifact carefully, its fractal etchings glowing faintly in the pale light of the city. Leora was among the waiting crowd, her gaze fixed on the artifact as engineers and scientists began their analysis. Calais spoke first, their voice brimming with restrained excitement. The minerals, they resonate with frequencies we've only theorized. If stabilized, they could revolutionize quantum matrices and unlock new dimensions of energy management. And the artifact? Leora asked, her tone sharp with curiosity. Helions held it higher, letting the crowd glimpse its hypnotic patterns. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered. Intelligent design, but silent. No clear message, only questions. The artifact became the center of intense discussions among several factions within the Council of Light. Helions and the Ethereal Assembly, Theia's other philosophers, debated its implications. Was the artifact a sign of a civilization's progress or its downfall? The Helions, driven by the idea of enlightenment and destiny through outward exploration, advocated using the artifact's quantum resonance to decode its origins while integrating rare minerals into Dyson swarm technology. Finally, the Seleneans, with support from the Gaians, feared that the lure of the artifact would drive excessive resource extraction. They stressed that harmony need to come first before the outward ambition. The factions were concerned that if Theia's resources were extracted too rapidly, that it would destabilize the already delicately balanced ecosystem. Helios emerged as a mediator, calling for measured exploration balanced with the first article of the first unifying accords, ecological stewardship. Curiosity is noble, they said during a summit of representatives. But it must be tempered by responsibility. Let us explore, but with care and respect for what binds us to this world. The skies above Theia glowed faintly as the ramifications of the Aurora's Reach mission rippled through Theian society. In the crystalline capital of Lumina Prime, Theians gathered once more, now with tempered excitement, a mixture of awe, apprehension, and philosophical reflection. Helios stood before the assembled factions, their voice calm but resolute. We have taken our first steps beyond the horizon, glimpsed wonders that defy imagination. But what we bring back is not just minerals or artifacts, it is responsibility. At their side, Leora addressed the scientists and engineers, gesturing to the rare minerals now integrated into Dyson Swarm prototypes. These discoveries will strengthen our cities, fuel our progress. But their application must honor the harmony we have fought to protect. Her voice held an edge, a warning not to repeat Alcyon's folly. Kayleys turned the artifact in their hands, its fractal patterns reflecting faint traces of bioluminescent light. Their voice carried the weight of their philosophical musings. This object asks us questions not yet answered. It challenges us to explore not just the cosmos, but ourselves, our capacity for curiosity, humility, and unity. The beginning of Theian civilization had been marked by profound achievements and devastating lessons. From their mastery of bioluminescence and the formation of quantum consciousness, to the rise and fall of Alcyon and the discovery of cosmic wonders, the Theians had walked a path defined by curiosity, resilience, and reflection. The luminous threads of bioluminescent crystals now adorned Theian cities, not merely as symbols of technological triumph, but as reminders of the harmony they had fought to preserve. Alcyon's collapse had scarred them, yet it also bound their society together, birthing the first unifying accord, a covenant that echoed across generations as a commitment to balance innovation with stewardship. Their ventures into space had opened their eyes to a universe brimming with mystery. Rare minerals revolutionized quantum crystallography, laying the groundwork for technologies that would transform Theia even farther in the future. Yet it was the alien artifact, silent and enigmatic, that whispered a deeper truth. The cosmos was not theirs alone, and their place within it demanded humility, unity, and purpose. The Genesis era closed not with finality but with the promise of a civilization stepping boldly into the unknown, carrying the light of its past and the weight of its future.